Hi golfers, Nick here for Untitled Golf. It's Friday, so welcome to another lesson on golf tips. This week on Golf Tips, we're going to talk about an article I came across recently on rotaryswing.com comparing their golf swing to the stack and tilt system. So in this video, we're going to talk about the key points from that article. First up, golfers, just doing some research online. I came across this article, so rotaryswing.com. And first of all, I think they do a lot of good stuff. I've seen some of their videos. There's a lot of good information that they do give out there, but I was just a little bit taken back by this article. So key problems with the stack and tilt golf swing. And you know, like the main reason I kind of did my channel really was to hopefully get rid of these articles and put some better information out there. So this video and this article here was published November 4, 2021. So a recent article. You may have heard of the stack and tilt golf swing, the new tour swing as it's sometimes called, but you're perhaps still unsure what it is. So yeah, I get it. There's a lot of golfers out there still not sure what the stack and tilt system is. That's, like I said, that's why I do the videos. That's why Rob does these videos as well. And this shouldn't be surprising. To naked eye, it can be difficult to distinguish between stack and tilt and more traditional methods, particularly at speed of a tour player swing. Okay, fair enough. Treat stack and tilt instructors with caution. Now I've got a bit of a problem with this one because it's attacking the stack and tilt instructors, and I think when you look at certain facts, like for example, just bring up this article here, so golfdigest.com, pretty credible website in my opinion, probably the biggest golf magazine out there. Golfdigest.com, best teachers in every state. So in the states here, there's an article and it lists the best teacher in each state. You go down the list here. Scrolling through here, I can see different states as you go through. Some have got more than others. There's Yumi, Steve Holmes, Gina, all stack and tilt instructors. And I think as you go through this list, there's over 40 stack and tilt instructors on this list. So I think that to say that to treat stack and tilt instructors with caution is a little bit unfair. I think obviously everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I like to put across the facts here. So it's important to be aware of the differences and to be able to consider the respective merits and disadvantages of every swing method when a teacher or media sources recommend that you make changes. So it goes on to say, stack and tilt, for example, presents particular challenges for senior and other golfers of restricted mobility. And I have a slight issue with this because I think the guy writing this article obviously doesn't have much, hasn't done much research on this, because in my experience, and I get messages a lot, senior golfers and players that restricted mobility, actually stack and tilt helps because, and I've talked about conventional golf swing and I've done videos on this and tried to explain this as best I can, as fairly as I can really, and I think that certainly if you set up to the golf ball, have your feet and your knees turned out, already that increases your mobility, right? If you grab a club and stand straight, turn the knees in, keep the knee flex bent in the backswing, it definitely restricts your movements and puts more stress on the back. So in stack and tilt system, we suggest that your feet turned out, knees turned out at setup, because it prevents these injuries. And like we have a certain accreditation within our sort of system working on the biomechanics side of the golf swing. So we have a stack and tilt anatomy program that we'll go through to kind of put across why stack and tilt is friendly on the back. I'm not saying it's any friendlier than any other golf system out there, but certainly it's not any worse, that's for sure. The golf movement is quite quick, there's a lot of moving parts, and obviously players do get injured, but certainly using the stack and tilt system, there's definitely a more prevention of that in my opinion. So the key elements of the stack and tilt golf swing. So it goes on to talk about the setup, and I think it kind of puts across his point here pretty well, in terms of explains the point pretty well. So good kind of observation in terms of how we set up. Basically the stack is set up at address, but I'm not sure about the tilt part, which he goes on to talk about, because it says that we lean in towards the target. Now, first of all, I'd say every golfer tilts. You look at the best players in the world, they tilt, and that's to help them keep a centered shoulder turn. And it's the same in the follow through as well. So the tilt is formed in the backswing and the downswing in the stack and tilt golf swing. So he's saying it's just the backswing, and it's when we lean into the target. Now, I think sometimes you might give a player that feeling that's kind of swaying, but it's not kind of, we don't advocate players to lean into the target. We just want you to have your weight slightly left at setup and stay pretty centered. So it may not be quite exactly explained as best in my opinion. Okay, we're going to go on in this article and drawbacks of the stack and tilt golf swing, talking about how it's worked for some tour players, and definitely we've had over 10 winners on the PGA Tour, different winners on the PGA Tour using it. It goes on to say about a low ball flight and a very steep angle of clubhead path. So let's hit a shot here. So just going to hit an 8 iron. PGA Tour average is about 4.5 degrees down and 87 miles an hour clubhead speed. So let's hit this 8 iron here. Normal sort of standard stack and tilt 8 iron here. So my ball position here, I've got it set up on the grid. It's probably about a club head inside my left heel, so my left shoulder in front of the ball. I certainly haven't got it on the back of my stance here. So around 4 or 5 degrees, angle of attack is PGA Tour average, and 85 miles an hour I think their club head speed is. So set a shot here. Okay, so let's take a look at that shot. So that was an okay swing. I've not hit many shots. They pitched just over 150. Obviously an 8 iron here. So club head speed 89. My swing path there was 1 degree into out, 5 degrees downwards, launched at 20. So the tour players actually launch at 18. They swing at 87. That was 89 miles an hour. My attack angle was 5.4 down. Tour players 4.5 down. So yeah, maybe slightly steeper than the average tour player, but there will be tour players out there that probably hit more down than that. And certainly my speed is up there, and distance is about average. And my launch was a bit higher than the PGA Tour average. So not sure whether that point in the article really comes across in terms of low ball flight. And the next bit, funny, I didn't even read this bit, power loss. Stack and tilt involves little or no such weight transfer during the backswing, and thereby robs the golfer much of power that can be provided by his largest muscles, blah, blah, blah. So basically saying that we lose power in the golf swing, and like, for me that just felt like an easy 8 iron there. I just hit it faster than the average tour player. So certainly, and I get the point that certainly if you wanted to hit the ball the furthest, you would like move around the most, right? Like if I wanted to get a little bit more speed, right, and I think this is where kind of the argument is lost really. Now I'm going to try and move around here and get a bit more speed. Let's see if I can just focus on speed for a second. So, okay, so for me, yeah, definitely if I can move around a bit more, I'm going to get a bit more speed. So I got up to 97 miles an hour there. Didn't quite strike that out the middle. And actually, in total, I actually lost a little bit of distance, so I didn't quite get the strike there. So certainly the speed factor I get, right? I do get this, but the argument is that in stack and tilt, we're trying to do a number of key fundamentals. Like the first one is to make solid contact, and that's controlling where the club hits the ground. Second one is to create power, and the third one is to control the curve. So you have to have a system that kind of does all those key fundamentals. And certainly if I just wanted more power, yeah, I'll move around, I create a bit more speed, but I don't really control the low point. I don't strike it as cleanly doing that. So you do sacrifice maybe a bit of control on contact and potentially direction as well. So yeah, I get the point that yeah, you can't swing it as fast if you don't move around, but certainly we've got to do a number of things in the swing, and it's not just about power here. Okay, so I'm just reading further down here. So many of you golf students have been asking what the difference is between stack and tilt, taught by Andy and Mike, and the rotary swing that I teach in my book. So he's comparing his golf swing method to Andy and Mike. So just while we're on this point here, because he brings up Andy and Mike here, so I'm going to go to an article here, the best 50 teachers in America. So earlier on we looked at the ones from the States, each state individually. Number 1, Butch Harmon, no surprise there, Chris Como, Mike Adams, Mike Bender, Sean Foley. So let's try and find Chuck Quinton, his name is. See where he is on this list. Oh, Nick Clearwater, so Nick Clearwater, GOLFTEC guy, worked with Andy and Mike. There's Andy, so Andy's on the list, 23. Keep going down here. Mike Bennett, number 36, so Andy and Mike, 23 and 36. So I'm just trying to find the guy who wrote this article. So I don't know if I missed it. Just give me a minute, guys. I think I can't see him on the list, so I think I must have missed it. I can't find him on the list. I don't know if there's a printing error or what here, but I can only find Andy and Mike. Not sure what to say here. Like that article on Golf Digest is voted by the best coaches in the world, and as you can see, Andy and Mike are definitely held in good top regard by their fellow teachers out there. So just going back to the article here, it says, talking about the setup here, so he's got a picture of his setup and Aaron Badley, who was part of Stack and Tilt, and the interesting thing about this, the setup here, talks about the weight from setup from the side view here. He's comparing an iron with a, looks like a fairway wood, so I'm not sure this is the best comparison really, an iron versus a fairway wood. Then he's got the front view here. Certainly, I do prefer Aaron's setup there. He's got the feet turned out, and his body weight's set slightly forward. Now, I get people entitled to their opinion in terms of where the body weight is. We just teach you to basically give you more chance of controlling the contact, which is definitely things that separate what the best players in the world do to the highest handicappers out there. And certainly when you look at the best players, their ability to control the low point is very good. Some of them may have a slight shift of their weight in the backswing, they manage to return it. Now, a lot of the amateur golfers out there don't really have that flexibility and athleticism to be able to shift around and control that like the best players in the world. They don't have time to hit balls and balls and balls on the range. They just want to go out the weekend and play solid golf. So stacking the weight left, keeping it there and moving it forward is certainly for me a much easier way for every golfer, not just the amateur golfers out there. Just going down the article here, we get to the takeaway thing, which I actually prefer Aaron's takeaway, but anyway, going down to this, a serious problem for longer irons and a major loss in distance. Okay, so let's hit, while we're on the subject here, let's hit a driver. So tour player launches around 11 degrees with their driver, and the tour player actually hits down 1.3 with their driver, so club speed's about 113 average on PGA Tour. Okay, so you can see the shot on the screen there, 10.9 that launched, and my club speed was a little bit down. I've not really had much warm-up today, but just looking at the data there, so I hit up 0.6, hit it pretty close to the middle, 0.4 out to in, so I swung pretty straight into the ball, carried it 275, and launch angle 10.8. So PGA Tour average is to actually launch the ball at 10.9. Their swing speed slightly faster. Attack angle on the PGA Tour is 1.3 down, 0.6 up there. So slight difference, or surprising, according to the article, that the stack and tilt system doesn't work. I'd say I'd take that drive. It wasn't perfect, but it's gone 298 yards. First shot of the day is not too bad. Just continuing down the article here, talks about the backswing there, and I think when you look at Aaron's backswing there, very centered as opposed to kind of his move. I think a lot of the modern day players are more centered. Even you go back through time, Sam Snead, Jack Nicklaus, Ben Hogan, and then goes on to the follow through about talking about the back pain, and he says that more than 80% of golfers on the PGA Tour miss on average 6 weeks of competition due to some injury. So he's saying that the players on tour do miss events on average 6 a year. Now, it's interesting because I'm not going to go through the whole article here, but in the history of stack and tilt system, Mike and Andy have not had one player miss any event on the PGA Tour through injury. So just think about that for a second. I think there's definitely, I can see some of his points of view here and what it looks like from outside, but I don't think the facts are quite there, and I think that's the whole point of my video here, is really just to put across the facts of what actually the stack and tilt system promotes and how it is friendly on the back, how there's definitely a lot of misconceptions out there, which is my point to this article. I'm sure the guy's a very good coach. I'm not really debating that. I'm really just saying that I don't think the article is a little bit unfair, and that's kind of why I do these videos. So hopefully, guys, you got something out of that video, and really, it's, as always promoting the system. Use it every day here, and there's many of teachers out there around the world use the system, and they do very well. So thanks for watching Golf. Hope you enjoy the video. If you've got any comments on that, post them in the box below, and I'll see you again next week for another video.